bringing you a reasoned approach to health and fitness. This is the Phi Life Podcast.
Welcome to the Phi Life Podcast. I'm John Barban, and with me is Brad Pilon, and today I want to talk about cancer pre-screening. For those of you who've been here before, you know that I've had cancer, and I found it just doing a preemptive screen with no symptoms. For those of you who are new, well, then now you just found out that that's happened to me. And I just want to tell this story because I was at a cafe that I go to on a regular basis, and somehow a conversation started between me and the couple of the servers there, and we were just talk. I don't even know how it came up, and it came up that I was 51 years old, and they didn't believe I was a day over 40, which was super nice of them to say.
That's nice, yeah. Liars,
and then somewhere in there it came up that I had cancer. I had lung cancer when I was 47. I found it on a preemptive screen, just a whole body scan at one of these sort of preemptive clinics, preventative medicine clinics, however you say it. Yeah. And I had a nodule or a tumor in my lower left lobe, which we then removed, and now I'm cancer free. Never had any symptoms from the cancer. Woke up from the surgery with a paralyzed vocal cord, but then that eventually healed. Anyways, that was the kind of the more problematic thing.
Yeah.
You'll just never know how much it disrupts your life to just all of a sudden not be able to speak when your life revolves around being able to speak. Anyways, so I mentioned it to the girls, and they were sort of taken aback by that. They didn't consider someone who looks relatively young for their age and relatively healthy could have also had cancer. And then I thought to myself, oh yeah, this isn't changing. Their generation isn't being guided towards preemptive screening.
Nope.
Their understand. It's not like they thought, oh yeah, I've heard about that. Oh yeah, preemptive screening, that's a thing. And we're in California, like that shit's everywhere around here, right?
Yeah.
But to them, it was like they're like, wow, you did that, really? You found that, really? And I thought this would be a total shame if either of them get to their 40s without starting any preemptive screening and find out, that one of them has breast cancer, or one of them has a colorectal cancer, whatever. Yeah. When obviously they're kind of young, probably don't have the money for it, but could have started saving and threw in a preemptive scan somewhere in their mid-30s, something like that.
Once a decade type of thing.
Yeah, once a decade, starting in just to see where you were at. And now there is a cancer screening schedule for colon cancer. There's one for breast cancer for women.
Yeah.
But they don't do one for lung, and it's the third leading cause of cancer death. Yeah. And that's what I found. And I thought, how on earth is this not a standard screen? It was just a simple CT scan.
No, and I know a young friend in his early 40s who's down with an aggressive lung cancer. Like same as you, non-smoker, didn't grow up in a smoking household.
Yeah.
So it's not just smokers. That's really important.
Yeah. And all these physicians who say it's a bad idea, F you. You'll never convince me that that's a bad idea. What it takes is some education for the patient, however you would say it, the user. But it's not your business to tell us what's a good idea to screen or not. And it's not your business to tell us, oh, you can't handle the psychological stress on it, and what if it's a false positive? It's not your life, it's our life. So the gatekeeper nature of physicians on this one, I find entirely off-putting, and you'll never convince me otherwise because I just found a cancer and I just got rid of it. So your argument will fall on deaf ears for me. And
you were younger when you had your cancer than I am now, because I'm 48. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, but every time I've been to a doctor, I've never had cancer screening brought up at all.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just, don't.
So they're following their pattern of their training, and they're going through the calculus in their head of the odds that it's actually going to show something. And then if it does, we got to follow up on it. And what if we do the wrong treatment and all of that bullshit? But none of it considers the fact that you have one life and you have one shot at this thing. And the overarching thing we know is the best way to deal with cancer is to catch it early. That's the only thing we can say 100%.
So, and I will say, I'll add to that, if anyone here listening is into longevity or biohacking, if you're doing anything, if you're cold plunging or saunaing or taking whatever that blue stuff is because you think it might help you live a bit longer, but you're not screening for the one thing that will make you die early, then you're wasting your attention's in the wrong spot, right? So before you do anything along, if your interest is I want to live longer, before you start going into some radical thing like I'm going to install a cold plunge in my house, then if that's your mindset, go get screened first. It's the best bang for your buck.
Yeah, and there's different ones you can do. You can just do a simple MRI, and they don't catch everything, but it's better than not. At a certain age, it's worth knowing that. Yeah. And if the established medical attitude is it's some amount of stress or some amount of complication, and then are we going to follow up on something we shouldn't follow up? Any of that stuff, you can educate yourself on that so you know what you're getting yourself into when you open the door to finding this out.
So what is the main concern? A false positive? Is that what because then you just
one of the concerns is psychological stress. Like, are you going to be? Is it going to upset your life, upset you directly, and then cause all kinds of undue stress if it is a false positive, and you're finding out maybe there's something there that there isn't. But I mean, it's not like you just go in and start cutting the person up. There's steps you take to verify, right?
Make sure the tumor's
like when we found. So the process with me is when we found the tumor.
It was a nodule at first.
It was a nodule because of its size.
Yeah.
And my physician was like, we can't even rule out that this isn't just a bolus of phlegm because it was in one of the one of the larger airways in my lower left lobe.
Okay.
So he's like, standard here is just to follow up in 3 months to see if it grew. If it first of all, it could be if it's phlegm, it probably just won't even be there on the next scan, right? And then we know it's a bolus, just a bolus of mucus.
Yeah, it's a random thing.
If it's still there at the same size, highly likely it's just a benign growth. Yeah. If it's bigger in 3 months, it's almost guaranteed it's cancer because nothing grows that fast other than cancer, right?
Okay.
So 3 months later, we check. It's still there. It's still the same size. We can rule out it's a bolus of mucus or phlegm. So it is tissue. But all of the data and all of the textbooks and all of the clinical data say that's 95% benign. And so I said, okay, so then what do we do now? He's like, oh, it's called, you just monitor now. Now it's just like schedule it for another test.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Like a year into the future. And then if it grows, then it's cancer. And then I kind of said, oh, okay, good. So, right, whatever. Then I thought, wait. We're going to wait a year and then check in again. And if it grew, that's our signal it's cancer. So that means I've had a cancer growing in me for a year. And that's the best we can do. Like, that's it. That's just, we'll find out as it's growing. And I thought, I said, I don't know if that's a great idea. That doesn't sound right to me at all. And I'm like, that's it. Like, and I talked to a couple other physicians who are like, it's just,
that's what we do. Yeah.
That's what we do. You just, it will tell us if it's cancer by its growth rate. And statistically, given its size, there's just almost no chance it actually is cancer. But I'm supposed to feel, I guess, comforted by that. But instead I felt now I know there's a thing right here. And and we're just waiting to see if it's truly cancer.
Yeah.
So I called him a couple weeks later, said, I kind of want to just get this biopsied. And so I did, and it was cancer. And I was like,
now,
okay, so then we were going to wait a year?
Is the biopsy for the lung, was it super invasive?
I mean, no.
You managed it.
It's invasive, but not super invasive. So you drink a solution.
Yeah.
You gargle a solution that freezes or numbs your throat.
Yeah.
And then I guess they put like a camera down there and a tool down there that like
a little
takes
snippy.
And you can feel it. It's a weird feeling. Now you're on a cocktail of drugs that make it, first of all, you kind of forget. The cocktail of drugs make you sort of forget what happened. But in the moment, you're sort of half in there and half out. You're kind of high while it's happening. And the drugs wear off like really, really fast. But you're conscious and you're aware. And so they put this thing down there. And I guess they do a numbing solution for every little bit. They put the thing down. They numb it and numb it and numb it. So once they numb the initial back of your throat so you don't have any sort of choke gag response, they just keep numbing it as they put the thing a little bit further down. And then it takes like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and they have a camera there, and he takes a couple bites out of it, however the biopsy tool works. And the one weird thing is I did feel each biopsy pinch.
Really?
But I was too sort of loopy for it to I was like, oh, that pinches. That feels like it's right in the middle of my body, but whatever. It was. He actually asked me, do you want to see it on camera? I was like, absolutely not. I don't want to see what the hell the inside of my lung looks like right now.
No.
And then by the time all the drugs wore off, I kind of had a half memory of it. Like that's.
So you were in and out in like a half day? Is that a day? Overnight?
Oh, this whole thing took an hour.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Maybe
so that's
an hour and a half or something.
Not. It's doable for most people.
And then they sent that off for testing. And then I got that awful phone call. So they go, yeah, it's cancer. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ almighty. And then from there, we just went through the procedures to schedule the surgery, do all of the follow-up testing, do the PT scan, all that stuff to make sure, like, has this potentially spread? Is it anywhere else? And it was nowhere else. We took a bunch of lymph nodes too during the surgery. And in my case, that the cancer was parked in a really difficult spot where if it grew any more, I would have lost the whole left lung instead of just the lower lobe.
So, like, hypothetically, like a year's worth of growth, which you were supposed to
We don't know. 2 millimeters. However long it would take for it to go 2 more millimeters, and I would have lost the whole lung. And whether or not it spread isn't the point. It was already occluding that airway by 80%. So if it occluded, it was eventually going to block that airway, which was the entire airway to the lower lung, the lower left lobe, which then would have started getting chronically infected because it particulate matter and waste I couldn't exhale it. It would just keep getting caught down there. So eventually the lower lobe was going one way or another as that thing grew. Regardless if it ever metastasized, it was going to choke off the lower left lobe. And if it got any bigger, the whole left lung was going. Anyways,
that sounds doable for your average healthy 35-year-old, right? And so the argument then again is, I'm under the understanding there's a rise in sort of aggressive cancers among younger people. That seems to be a headline I've seen sort of multiple times recently. If we have this ability to measure or test, and if you're interested enough in longevity, you're already doing longevity hacks and biohacking type stuff, then it makes no sense you're not testing. Like if you're willing to do experimental supplements and et cetera to try to prolong your life, but you're not looking to make sure something's not drastically lowering your life expectancy, it doesn't make sense. So if you're biohacking, if you're a, live forever type person, before you get on, I don't know, even like a Brian Johnson type program, you should probably get screened for cancer. Just makes sense.
Well, the hypocrisy and the irony of the medical profession is that it's standard. There's a standard time and number to do age to do colon screen and a colonoscopy, which I've done. And then there's a standard time they recommend and age they recommend for breast cancer screening. Oh, which by the way changes. It's like, it should be this age now. All of a sudden it's 5 years sooner. Now I'm assuming they're adjusting that to the data. So, but before they ever got around to that, did they have the same attitude? Oh, why would you screen for breast cancer? You're just going to cause them stress. Why would you screen for colorectal? You're just going to cause them stress. Like, go fuck yourself if that's your answer. Yeah. And it's my body, not yours. The technology exists, and you're gatekeeping it from me. And for the one person it saves. Yeah. And all the other people it causes stress, we're all not idiots. We could probably solve for the stress you cause and come up with some sort of education program and some sort of simple step-by-step thing where we guide people through how to handle the results. And if the results are mostly null, what are we even worried about? Like
exactly.
And this other garbage argument about resources, that's just viewing you as a commodity and on an article on a spreadsheet. They're not viewing you as a human being who cares about their own life. Yeah.
And your testing was a scan, right?
It was a CT scan.
That is way less anxiety causing than, a colon cancer screening for a guy. Like I would much rather a scan, but so I don't see I guess the anxiety and stress comes from the what if you find something really bad you have to deal with. It's kind of weird, right? Because that should be not the anxiety. The anxiety should be there's no way for me to find out if there's something there. But
my guess is physicians are so far down their training on that one and have installed so much of what the industry's taught them how to see things. Mm-hmm. They can't see how absurd their answer back to someone is like, why would you do that? Well, because I want to know if I have cancer. That's why I did it. And from what I can tell, if a cancer grows enough to the point where it's displaying a symptom, it's highly likely you're already in big trouble.
Yeah.
And from what I can tell, no matter what cancer it is, no matter which tissue of the body you have cancer in, finding it sooner, if it's a treatable, some cancers you can't, once you find out, that's it, you're done anyways.
Yeah.
There's a few unfortunate kinds that once you have it, all they can do is sort of like manage palliative, we'll see how far you can make it, but there's no way to get it out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, well in that case, you're screwed if you found it or not. But they're not all like that. There's a lot of them that if you find them soon enough, you can really do something about it, and your survivability is it's linear. The sooner you find it, the higher chance you have of surviving it.
But I would say even with the aggressive ones, or the ones you can't get rid of, finding it sooner is still better, like multiple myeloma. I'd rather know earlier than later, right? A bunch of holes and punch in my bones kind of thing. So,
well, it depends. It depends. And then their other argument with that is you want to hold off treatment as long as possible. But then if the person's, in the doctor's opinion, being irrational, saying, no, I want treatment now. And the doctor's like, the data shows the longer we hold off treatment, the better. Again, but that's something you can educate the customer on. And this idea that they can't handle the stress of the information is infantilizing to the patient and treating you like a moron. Yeah. Which is a bullshit way to treat patients. Or a person who is just wants to find out about their own body. So what I'm saying is there is a way to solve for any of the issues they think are coming up. And if their answer is resource deployment, that is the biggest bullshit answer of all, when they're viewing it from, well, we just can't afford to do it, so we just don't bother doing it. Yeah. And I would say and it's better for you to not know anyways, which is you should never accept those as answers. The
number one lesson from marketing and running businesses, and especially being in the business we're in, which is communication, is that if the consumer doesn't understand what you're saying, you can't blame the consumer. You have to fix your messaging. And so if the medical establishment is worried that it's just too much or people won't understand it, that's not on the person, that's on you to explain it better.
Yeah, find a way to explain to them, come up with a rubric, some sort of education program so they understand how to handle that information. Yeah. Or even take it case by case, but regardless, you just won't be able to handle it, we know better. For your life is just to me, and I'm biased because it worked for me, is an utterly unacceptable answer. Yeah. And I guess to wrap it all up, when I saw these two girls in their mid-20s being surprised that it's a thing, especially when one of them said a family member had cancer, I thought, you should be on. Have you now that one of your parents has already had cancer, and I didn't go down this road, your rubric now of how you're being dealt with by your doctor has completely changed. Like when you have a family member, like a nuclear family member who has cancer, your risk has changed. Yes. So it's, but she didn't follow up saying, oh yeah, and because of that, I've already, I know that I have to do some earlier screen. I was just thinking, God, it would be a shame if either of them made it to some 35, 45-year-old thing and just got blindsided by a cancer, when here in the area we live, they could have got to that sooner, got to the screening sooner. Mm-hmm. So it needs to evolve. Physicians, I think, who aren't on board with this need to stop and really think about the way they're speaking to their patients and how sort of dismissive and we know better than you, so just shut up, how that feels to a patient. And there's a better way to do this. And to Brad's point, it's the communication. If you think they can't handle the info, then you're not getting the info across correctly. Exactly. So, anyways, but again, I'm highly biased, so go get yourself checked out if you haven't. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Perfect. So I guess good place to leave it. Yeah. Yeah. Works for me. So for Brad Pilon, I'm John Barban, and that's your Phi Life Podcast.